The Monterey Bay Poetry Consortium presents Kate Aver Avraham and Laura Bayless, recorded live via Zoom on April 11th, 2021.
Well, welcome to the springtime day, to the April 2021 Monterey Bay Poetry Consortium reading. This is our 13th Zoom-based reading as we continue to limit and contain ourselves due to the coronavirus pandemic, as we've been doing for now over a year. And all as we deal with the stress and strain of the pandemic, the lockdown, the wearing of masks, social distancing, waiting for vaccinations, getting vaccinations, waiting for the second one, waiting for the immunity building periods to pass, hoping we don't get too sick from the vaccinations. And all during this time in our country, as our president is trying to rebuild the country, its functioning and its status in the world. So if understandably you find yourself occupied and perhaps burdened by the narrative of the past year, we'd like to invite you to step back a bit this afternoon. Just leave the daily news cycle. Just do so with a viewpoint that comes from instead looking at the world through the lens of poetry, and put singular and sometimes lonely and upsetting concerns aside while you join with this community that is the Monterey Bay Poetry Consortium. The consortium is an affiliation of poets in the Monterey Bay area and in other parts of the country too. It's expanded a little bit with the use of Zoom. It's been carrying on readings for many, many years, beginning largely with the efforts of John Lowy and the National Writers Union local chapter that we had in the Santa Cruz, Monterey area, and with the efforts of folks before them. Jennifer Legier was involved in those before the Writers Union got involved. John Lowy, as I mentioned, is a driving force here. He is like, well, we like to call him the dean of the consortium, and it's wonderful to have him. He's visiting with us from La Selva. As I mentioned, we're on Facebook. It's simple, Monterey Bay Poetry Consortium. If you haven't liked us, please do, and join up. It's we don't post there a lot, but it's the main vehicle we have for letting folks know what the consortium is doing, what our readers are, and what's coming up. And as I mentioned, we're also on YouTube. Just Google YouTube Monterey Bay Poetry Consortium, and you'll be taken to the link, and there you'll see the various videos that we've got posted. Well, today we are blessed, really, to be able to hear poetry from two wonderful, wonderful poets who not only are wonderful poets, they are terrific people. And I'm very pleased and proud and happy to count them among my friends. They're truly, truly great folks. Kate Aver Avraham and Laura Bayless, who are, they both went to the same wardrobe place today and are color coordinated. This is well done, guys. So I'd like you to sit back, enjoy a cup of coffee, a glass of wine if you don't think it's too early in the day for you, a snack, and just listen in, join our community here of poets, and listen to some great poetry. We're going to be in for a fine afternoon. Each poet will read for about 20 to 25 minutes or more, or less. And if they have books that they'd like you to consider purchasing, if you haven't already, they will mention that. And if they have a website that you can go to, they will also mention that. We read in alphabetical order, last name. So Kate, thank God you arrived, Kate, is first up. And I'll tell you a little bit about Kate. And you may have already read about her in the flyer that came out, so I'll elaborate on that. Kate Aver Avraham thinks that she began writing poetry in utero, and that's a while ago. And since then, she's been doing it and has been published in many journals, anthologies, and chapbooks. Wonder if you used a keyboard in utero or a pencil, Kate. You know, it's hard to know, huh? She's published 3 children's books: Joey's Way with Macmillan, What Will You Be, Sarah Me, with Charles Bridge in Boston, and We Are All Related, Kindle Direct Publishing, Amazon. She co-edited the new anthology Second Wind, Words and Art of Hope and Reconciliation, which was just a real shot in the arm before we could get our vaccination shots in the arm. It's a beautiful volume. And she co-edited that with Melanie Culver. And this year, Blue Light Press is going to publish the poetry book, Arms of My Longing. Will we hear any of those poems today, Kate? Okay, 2, very cool. Kate's the founder of Blue Moon Creations, an artistic endeavor benefiting causes and charities, both locally and globally. So she's a busy lady, and she not too long ago became a grandma. So she's busy in that score, and had concerns for her family because of the fires up in the Santa Cruz Mountains. So it's been quite a year, and Kate appropriately lives on the edge of the redwood forest that is up there in Aptos. So Kate, thank you for being with us, and it's over to you.
Right? Can you hear me?
You're on.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Thank you and Jennifer and John and everybody for coming. This is the first time I have read on Zoom, so I just feel like I want to crawl through the screen and be with you in person, but I'll do my best. Yeah. Bob mentioned the volume Second Wind. I wanted to tell you, Bob, and those of you that are in it or have read it, last week we met with the director of the Community Foundation and gave the $3,000 donation, the first donation from this book. So it felt really good. And I want to thank you all for being part of that. So
wonderful. Thank you, Kate. Thank you.
It's still available on Amazon, at Bookshop Santa Cruz, and from either one of the editors, if you're interested. Okay. So I'd like to start by reading one of the poems in Second Wind. It's called Phoenix. In these hollow days of isolation, I live in a wilderness of redwood trees, raptors, tiny feeding birds, peace as motionless as a great horned owl at midnight. Chaos shudders everywhere else. Contagion binds us all to the reminder that nothing is forever. Even Mother Earth shrugs her resigned shoulders, tired of begging us to intervene. Outside my window, reluctant sun plays coy with persistent gray gloom. While I wait for emergent light, the knife-sharp edge of grief for every living thing cuts me. Suddenly, a red-shouldered hawk lands on the fence outside, swivels his commanding head until his piercing gaze finds me. I am drawn into a wisdom far beyond my fragile, aging self, my tired, aching bones. We have been scoured, scraped raw to the core of what we've been and may or may not become. What we laid aside to make it through falls short as paychecks, investments, dreams, relationships collapse. We are left looking at each other, naked and as real as when we were born. Take up that infant of what is true. Cradle it close to your beating heart. Even Phoenix burned to ashes, rose again, renewed. And now it's spring, and we've been vaccinated, and things are opening a little, and there's an emergence, I guess you could say, which is a wonderful thing. This is a very new poem, but I like to do a new one because it has a different energy and it hasn't been fiddled with and edited and all that. So May Sarton, the famous author, said, "Gardening is an instrument of grace." Thank you, May. This is called Olfactory. Smell of new mown grass shouts a glory hallelujah, welcome to spring. Piques my senses long dormant as I hid from menace of global contagion, soul asleep as deeply as Rip Van Winkle slept. Then the scent of sheared lawn permeates everything, dense earthbound reminder of life. Each newborn blade gives itself willingly to the cause of awakening us from slumber. And then, of course, if you're a gardener, there is the issue of the proverbial weeds. This is weeds. Weeds never give up. They squeeze their way into any flower garden, have no respect for cosmos, gardenias, linearia, phlox, invade vegetable patches, mix with tomatoes, pole beans, zucchini, sage. Even when yanked out or sprayed with vinegar water, they return intrepid, determined. This year, I decide to let them have their way. Prolific from abundant spring rain, they invade yellow dandelions that will transform into puffy globes, be blown away in wishes, shamrock green sorrel with sheer white blossoms, delicate as childhood memories, pastel radish, vagrant others, stems and stalks askance. They insist on being equal with their nursery pedigreed cousins. In complete surrender, I watch my garden become a wild tableau, kaleidoscopic, unpredictable, more beautiful in its imperfection than anything I have ever cultivated. The next few poems are from Arms of My Longing, the book that will be coming out soon, I think. This is called Night Before Women's March. Late night, sliver of moon. Wrapped in shadows, I dream I'm holding the bodies of children who died at the southern border. I swaddle them in linen, place them gently back into their distraught parents' arms. Startled, I awaken, damp with sweat and tears, recognize this wall of grief is the same one I couldn't climb over after my own son died. How can I say I'm sorry, apologize for a nation that has torn itself apart with disregard for the sanctity of all lives? Only 5 a.m., I rise up from bed, put my hiking boots, pink hat, and what would MLK do sign by the front door. Later, when I leave for the march, I know I will carry the weight of those children along the streets of my hometown. Hands. Consider the hands that pull plows across fields, swing rakes and hoes, till the dark, expectant earth. See the hands, palms turned upward, lifelines deep and long, cupping seeds that slide into damp, awaiting soil. Imagine the hands, brown, white, black, gnarled, scarred from labor, fingers that grip broccoli, charred, thorny artichoke so we can eat. Think of all those weathered hands picking one plump strawberry at a time, backs bent over 180 degrees, sweat dripping like rain onto the ground. Taste the sweet red fruit. Let its juices burst forth in your mouth as you remember the hands. This is a different set of hands. This is about my daughter who just had her baby. It's not about the baby, but it's about my daughter. It's called Devotion. My daughter's hands, still small and slender at age 36, fingers as graceful as swaying meadow grass, nails tapered to crescent moon tips. When she visits several times a week, I hear her light step on the deck stairs, move chairs 6 feet apart so we can safely sit together, visit for a spell. We raise our arms over our heads in virtual hugs, the way her older brother used to do as the school bus carried him off to kindergarten. Then I watch those lovely hands carry each full shopping bag, set it gently on the outdoor table, full of groceries to sustain us. I got kind of nostalgic getting ready for this. I took a little trip into the past. This one is called Last Rose, and it's for my parents, Ellis and Eleanor Aver. Late August, last rose unfurls blush pink petals, opens itself in spite of drought, heat wave. Daddy brought it home 50 years ago, just a slip wrapped in damp paper, gift from a client. I remember my mother's face full of delight, as if he had presented her a 10-carat diamond ring. I watched them plant it in the backyard below their bedroom window. Daddy's strong arms dug the hole while Mom added handfuls of loam, gently placed her start in the center of the bed. Let me help pat the dirt down, like tucking it in, she said. This is how it happens. Unexpected small moments embed deep within us, grow, and become holy. I remember after watering the rose, my parents kissed. How am I on time? Okay. This is called Catch Release. Recollection flits in and out of my mind, fleeting thought, moment captured. Texas, 1985. How I ran across the lawn, caught fireflies in a quart mason jar. You had only been gone a year that summer, and I, like prairie grass scorched brown, had not revived. Then that glass jar, tiny glowing bodies, spark of life inside me. When I opened it, released. Wallace Stegner, the author, said about poetry, no place, not even a wild place, is a place until it has that human attention that at its highest reach we call poetry. Waiting for ravens at Dinky Creek. In summer, we slice through the cool green river, climb out tingling, and lie naked on warm granite boulders. Ravens fly over, draw their slick black shadows across the rocks, the water, our taut bronzing skin. Messengers from the other world, their glossy, scalloped wings flap slowly west, tell us the living and dead are still together. Here under the salient sun, where cedar trees spire between the hard white shoulders of the mountain that holds us. That was a long time ago. I'm lying naked on a boulder. That wouldn't happen now.
Well, not during COVID, right?
I wouldn't just, yeah. Oh. And this is called Carmel Valley Sunset. And this is for Laura. Rolling green oak-covered hills, soft like shoulders rounded by erosion's persistent love, draped in twilight shadows, sheathed in sleeves of blue mist, glowing yellow trim at the horizon. Day lowers its tired arms. Indigo darkness wraps its night fabric over every rise and shallow of this valley's ample body as infinite willing stars sequin the sky. This will be my last poem. And this one, I think of what Mae West said. One is never too old to get younger. I want to pry night open until constellations pour stars into the arms of my longing. I want to ride on the light of another blue moon, whip along with autumn wind gusting in silver lit trees. I want to love full on in a tangle of limbs and lips, then sigh for about an hour because I feel like it. Let me go into the streets, greet people I don't know, make eye contact with all those windows into their souls. I'm not done with this tender, merciless incarnation. Just for a while longer, I want to feel life jumping up and down inside me, spinning me round and round in circles of wonder. May we all continue to feel the wonder. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Kate. That was just terrific. I loved your phrase, small moments that embed themselves within us and become holy. And to paraphrase it, and we had just here a series of small moments with you, and they are holy. They were a little trip into the past, but also into the future, as you just finished up presenting to us. Looking forward to seeing Arms of My Longing when it comes out. And I know what you mean about weeds. They are perfect in their imperfection, little bastards. But they're part of life, and they fit with what you said in your poem, olfactory. You know, about they're part of it all. Have you got your tomatoes in yet?
Pardon me?
Your tomatoes, have you got them planted yet?
Almost, not
Almost.
quite.
Okay, good. Yeah, things are warming up, and thank you for that. It was just a wonderful set of poems, and really appreciate you being with us, Kate.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And now, segueing from Carmel Valley, with respect to which Kate gave us a beautiful poem, we will now go to a fellow denizen here of the valley and a neighbor, Laura Bayless. Laura will unmute in a little bit and share her poetry with us. She's the author of 4 collections of poetry. Her most recent, Chairs in the River, was published by FutureCycle Press, and it's got a great cover, Chairs in the River, down there at Big Sur. Her poems have appeared in local and national publications, including the Porter Gulch Review and the Homestead Review, as well as in the Second Wind anthology. She co-edited and the award-winning compilation of stories and poems about the Carmel River called A Passion for Place, which is a lovely, marvelous collection. She's also an associate editor of the Monterey Poetry Review. And previous to the past pandemic, or the pandemic that we're now in, she attended the Art of the Wild conference in Squaw Valley. And on occasion, she hosts very ably and wonderfully these readings here for the Monterey Bay Poetry Consortium. When they were at Old Capitol Books, she was a stalwart for us when we needed a host. In addition to writing, Laura explores creativity through collage and photography. I happen to have one of her collages, which I won at the museum lottery when we used to have those, and it's in my study. Laura, if you would unmute, we'd look forward to hearing from you, and you're sharing some wonderful poems with us. Thank you.
I unmuted. What happened?
You're good.
You're unmuted. You're
You're
good.
good.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay.
You're
I'm
great.
This is the first time I've ever done Zoom reading, so be patient with me. This is not my way of functioning here. I want to thank Bob, of course, our host, who does the most marvelous job each time there's a reading. And I wanted to thank John Lowy for inviting me to read, and Jennifer for helping me set up my Zoom on my iPad, and of course Kate for being another of our poetry goddesses who does beautiful readings. And so I'm glad to share with her. Very glad to be with her today. I also did have a poem published in the Second Wind anthology, edited by Kate and Melody. And I would like to start with the poem that I had in the Second Wind anthology. And this comes from just an epigraph that I found. The world flows past on both sides. So this is on both sides. What have I missed in my rush to arrive somewhere beyond time? Perhaps the exquisite auburn color of two stallions in a pasture along the road. Or a melody in the flow of my breaths, the inhaling, exhaling tune of living. I might have caught a trace of moisture in the rainbow-colored sphere that slipped behind the mountain, traveled through sunset's brilliance. Life requests my attention to its earthly moments, the quickly passing splendor by the window into nevermore. I stop to listen to my heartbeat, rhythmic drumming that counts in 3/4 time, measures the days I have left. And as Kate mentioned, yes, and Bob, I'm a Carmel Valley person since 1966, a wonderful community out there. So this is something that I see from my deck in the Carmel Valley. And this comes from a quote by Terry Tempest Williams. The birds still remember what we have forgotten. Aerial choreography. High above my valley, 3 turkey vultures soar and circle. Just beyond my deck, fledgling crow perches on thin pine branch. Within powder blue firmament, 5 ebony defenders shield their vulnerable kin, swoop and orbit to defeat 2 hungry, sharp-shinned hawks. With their dark banded tail feathers, rusty cross-barred chests, and gray-white throats, the ravenous pair dive toward their prey, battle the black-winged troops to an indecisive finale. Corresponding instinct and drama unfurl on an early summer day. And the first place I lived, we were 1 block from the Carmel River. So I had to include something about the river because that's a very special place. My children and I would go swimming every summer there. And also for me, the river is the way it flows from where it starts to where it ends. So this is generosity of rain. Winter storms renew the Carmel River, which begins as a tiny spring in the Los Padres mountain range. Rainwater rivulets travel downhill, fill a widespread reservoir, spill into a shaded stream, wander along willow-lined banks, gather in tranquil pools that hold steelhead trout, follow an Emerald City passage through Kashawa's landscapes, flow past Porter's Pond, glide under Rosie's Bridge, drift beyond homes on Pasahondo and along cottonwood groves at Garland Ranch Park. Finally, empty through the lagoon estuary into the sea. We will have poppies, milkmaids, lupin, trillium this season, crawdads in Garza's Creek, mallards, blue dragonflies, wild turkeys, and brave new fawns. Okay, we'll move on to something else here. I have a variety of feelings today. This one again came from a quote. It says, I wrote down everything that went unsaid. So this is how you feel some days when you've been stuck in the pandemic for a year and you live alone in your little isolated apartment. Snappish. It's too damn hot in Arizona. Crowds give me claustrophobia, deliver me from insomnia, screaming kids at the grocery store. Rescue me from dishes and dusting, as well as every other household chore I've been doing without joy all these years. Liberate me from nerve pain that crawls across my right hip, radiates down to my knee, and triggers an off-kilter gimp. Don't tell me I should lighten up or find my bliss. Appreciate my cranky mood. I'd rather sit alone on my deck, look out at oak-beaded mountains, read Jeffrey Deaver novels, and eat popcorn for dinner. Besides, too late always comes too early. Apricots perpetually disappoint, and one other thing. Okay. As my family knows, my favorite song is I'm Growing Older, but Not Up. And so it surprised me that most of the poems I chose had to do with growing older. So it was a surprise to see how that turned up here and there and everywhere. This is called A Bumpy Road. I've been on a journey, a lifetime of anticipation, only to discover I'm a bit like Marley's ghost, dragging a rusted chain of broken links. Mother didn't tell me there'd be liars, bullies, tyrants, thieves, and just plain old rogues along my roundabout route. Deaths and infidelities have overshadowed interludes of fulfillment and bliss. I've become distrustful, less willing to be deceived. Now the body disappoints as well. Half the distance takes twice as long. Mine mumbles faulty recall. Lately, I find myself singing the last lines of an old Paul Simon song. The nearer your destination, the more you're sleeping away. How do you feel when you get up in the morning these days? Okay. This is mirroring. And Rumi says, here's the joyful face you've been wanting to see. In the bathroom mirror at 5 a.m., black bags hung under my eyes, battle-weary waddles profiling long neck, plowed field forehead concealed with bangs, and a new pimple 20 years past menopause becomes my wake-up call. During the day, as I accept unearned compliments from folks who haven't seen me since last year, or pay tribute to my attractive mother for my inherited Scandinavian beauty, I feel thankful I plucked chin hairs last night and left my attitude at home. Still, I feel most stunning, almost a Disney princess, when Isabella Scarlett's face lights up because she's happy to see me. Great granddaughter's salon makeover without makeup. Okay, this has a title and then it has a subtitle. Devil May Care Saints. Subtitle, Amazing Grace, a Parking Place. One friend has a parking fairy who provides the perfect space wherever she goes. Another claims a guardian godmother saves her from circling the lot at Trader Joe's. I call on Saint Olaf, my Viking god of parking, 12 feet tall, complete with horned helmet, shield, and bearskin vest, who stands over the opening directly in front of my destination. Having a bad hair day? Why not call on Saint Bouffant, my goddess of good hair? She of ideal curls and coiffure, tidy even in a windstorm. Late for an appointment, in a hurry, catch your flight, find yourself trapped at each and every stoplight? I'm happy to lend you my goddess of green lights, Saint Emerald. Saint Emerald. I don't need the Pope to canonize my angels. I just name them appropriately, declare abiding faith in my personal patrons. All right. And as I went through these today, I saw that there were things about family, and it is family that has gotten me to this age all these years. The background and the backstop of family is very, very important to me. This is family album number 1, The Perfect Man. My mother was one of 3 sisters. When their mom was widowed, she came to live with each daughter 4 months at a time. That was pretty much all my mom, my aunts, and their husbands could tolerate. Grandma had a mind of her own, was not hesitant to express it. She could find fault in a window left open or closed, declared either way was meant to torment her. She would proclaim to her sons-in-law, there's no such thing as the perfect man. My dad would tell her, I am the perfect man. To agitate her, he taught his 3 daughters to greet him at the front door every evening, singing Hail the King in 3 successive animated tones and volume. Hail the King, hail the King, hail the King. You could see Grandma twitch, frown, and hear her scoff because he paid attention to her. In the end, she liked him best. So the perfect man, of course, was my father, Bud. His real name was Virgil Guy Burnham, but everybody called him Bud. It didn't matter he had no sons. He took his 3 girls fishing off Monterey Pier, assigned us chores, firewood stacking, lawn mowing, car washing, named us the Rain in the Face tribe. He brought home enough July 4th fireworks to entertain the whole neighborhood, pinched Mom's fanny in the kitchen, smoked his friend's salmon catch in the backyard pipe and crate contraption where his squaw kept the fire going. Each spring, he went off to the Sierras for packing in fishing trips, bathed naked in streams with his buddies. On Reno or Tahoe vacations, my parents gambled. Silver dollars are reward when they returned. Daddy was the first milkman in Carmel, became manager of a home delivery dairy, marketed an investment plan, was elected president of the Monterey Rotary, helped build a senior center, because he knew more jokes than Bob Hope and was great at telling them. People loved to see him coming. He left us way too soon, one day after his 53rd birthday, the same year we lost JFK. I was not yet 22, had to fly home from another state to attend his funeral. When my son, not yet 4, died unexpectedly, I missed Daddy most of all. And so I'd like to include my mom as the other half of that couple. And lost her too, but this is orphaned at 58. Somehow, even if you're 58, you feel like an orphan when you lose your parents. They are together side by side at the cemetery, a married couple again, but there will be no waking, no coffee, no talk of discipline and daughters. He courted her long distance, a suitor from the grave. The love letters he wrote over 60 years ago murmured from my lips as she lay captive of her failing flesh. A quarter century they shared before her life, his life, ruptured, spilled his laughter through imperfections in his heart. She carried on another 37 years, often speculating the reason for lasting so long beyond him. And yes, I'm a Carmel Valley girl, but I grew up in the last hometown. Our main street was only 3 blocks long, had one department store, a movie theater, and a 5 and dime called Sprouse Reeds, where I bought Evening in Paris cologne for my mom at Christmas time. At Dyke's drugstore, fountain counter, a cherry Coke cost a nickel. The public pool at Lovers Point Beach held slightly warmed salt water, scheduled swim lessons in fog. A glass bottom boat cruised the calm cove in summer while we ate hamburgers at the grill. Feeling safe to explore, we were allowed day-long freedom, rode our bikes or walked uptown to catch the Saturday matinee, built grass forts in empty lots, played cowboys and Indians, even created a county fair in our backyard, sold tickets to neighbors. Age 5, I played house with Frankie on the front porch. Originally a religious settlement, no alcohol was sold in town until 1968. Churches outnumbered restaurants. Some things are gone now, like my family home on Ripple Avenue, but not the annual October parade to welcome monarch butterflies. Elementary school children in costume still march through downtown every year, the youngest in black and orange wings. And because I was the middle child, I did write a poem just about me, because it seemed in my family everything was about the other two. Ragamuffin. Towhead in scruffy cutoffs, worn sneakers, smudged nose, the remains of a sugar daddy sucker stuck to the corner of her mouth. She collects shells from Otter Cove, lays them inside a beach towel in the silver basket of her twice hand-me-down Schwinn. She's gone to the shore again, slipped out the garage door when mother wasn't looking, raced to the corner, spun in the gravel before pedaling off down Beach Street to Ocean View to count hermit crabs and starfish that inhabit her coastal castles. Granite fortresses where she can be something other than a good girl. And then I just have 2 that I'd like to share that I see again that I'm thinking about being kind of late in life here. So don't pay any attention to that. I'm still growing up anyway. The dead mouse. A few days ago, my neighbor's cat left me a gift mouse at the foot of the stairs. No evidence of feline teeth, as if the little guy with big ears lay down on his side for a nap, like I do after lunch. When I picked him up by the tail to find him a proper resting place, it got me to thinking, when it's my time, I hope I will be found like that, curled over my left elbow, as if I entered eternity while dreaming. Maybe then my obituary could read, female found deceased in her residence, a quiet, solitary departure. With that gentle an exit, and if you still read my poems, you won't miss me when I'm gone. And again, because I love Carmel Valley, and this is, although it says the title is When I'm Ready to Go, which of course I'm not quite ready, but when I'm ready to go, this is where my spirit will go. When I'm ready to go, take me to the greensward, the woodland dale, beyond the tangle of supple willow spurs, where a footbridge crosses the river that mirrors a few bleached yarn clouds. Tag along to where tiny purple-white pagodas crop up among late spring grasses. Let me get deliriously lost in a secret ravine where fiesta flowers cling to my legs, so I can gather wood mint for tea. Let the hairy fringe pod keep its secret. I want to tread trails, deer forage through underbrush that crowds the oak forest, and talk with the fractured scarecrow husk of an old pine stump. Allow me time to linger beside owl's clover and lime green tresses of maidenhair fern. Admire saffron, sun-kissed lichen on a fallen log. Follow a wandering cabbage white butterfly. Then leave me where the buckeye torches circulate their vanilla scent in May, and cast off chestnut color spheres in fall onto the backyard fringe of a sunlit meadow. Thank you for the opportunity to read my poems. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Laura. That was wonderful. It just, you touched on so many things, the importance of family, growing older but not up, but maybe growing up, notwithstanding. 5-cent cherry Cokes at the drugstore counter. I remember those. And Rocky Road ice cream cones for a nickel too. It took us back, and you're capturing life in PG as it was really special. Likewise, Carmel Valley, which is a marvelous place here in the world, and you know the botany of this part of the world so well, and it's reflected in your poems. I particularly enjoyed your poem about the river. It reminded me of, there's a classical music piece by a Bohemian composer named Smetana called the Moldau, and the music takes you down this river from its headwaters all the way to the sea, and you did that for us. It was just beautiful. You also brought in, you have a marvelously understated sense of humor. It was just great to see it suffused through your poetry. So thank you very much. Thank you both, Laura and Kate. You've made this a wonderful afternoon. I forgot about the rest of the world during this time together, and we'll go back to it refreshed. It's been great. I want to tell you all that we do this once a month. And so the next one is going to be on Sunday, May 9th. Mark Zegans and Sam Salerno, whom many of you know, are going to be our two poets. If you need more information, you could contact me or Jennifer or John Lowy. And if you'd like John Lowy's phone number or email address, please email me. My email is in what was sent out to each of you, inviting you to this reading. And don't forget that we are jointly sponsored here by the Consortium and by Old Capitol Books, which is starting to come back. They're in a space on Alvarado. If you go onto Google, you'll find Old Capitol Books. They're on Facebook. And they were our home for a number of years. We're going to see what we can do going forward. We also would like to keep the Zoom capacity in some manner. and John and some of us will be meeting, John Lowy and some of us will be meeting to figure out how we can do that. It's amazing. We've had people from Germany, Australia, New Zealand. I think we have someone today from Kansas City. We were going to, and we've had people from all over the country. So it's been wonderful, and we'd like to try to preserve that. Please stay in touch by way of Facebook. Please also check out our YouTube channel. Go online and subscribe to Monterey Bay Poetry Consortium on YouTube, Googling for the link. And thank you so much for being with us. I'm going to ask you to give me a big smile in a sec, and I'm going to take our customary monthly group photo of everybody, and that will go up on Facebook and be a nice souvenir of a wonderful afternoon. So we've got some familiar faces here and some new friends too. So on 3, folks, give me a big smile. 1, 2, 3. And we got photobombed. That's great.
It's been long.
Thank you so much. It's been a great afternoon. Love you all, and thank you for being with us. Thank you, both Kate and Laura, for just making this afternoon. And God bless you all, and we'll see you next month. Take care. Bye-bye.